What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 22 of 10th Inning Screwballs. I'm Dante Esposito.
And I'm Sevi Esposito. Dante, 22. Give me a Yankee with 22.
My mind always goes to Cano back in the day, but if you want to go more modern, we got Bader.
Harrison Bader, that's right. 22. Probably the most famous 22 was Allie Reynolds. From the 40s into the 50s, six-time World Series winning pitcher. Not only was a great starting pitcher, even relief pitching, was one of the best Yankees of all time, and he wore 22 for all those years. You were mentioning earlier Robinson Cano being 22. He gave that number away to Roger Clemens. Clemens was 12. And when he came over, he swapped numbers with Cano, and Cano gave him 22. And a couple of interesting points about number 22. Allie Reynolds did something that no other Yankee had ever done, and that's 2 no-hitters in his career. No other Yankee ever did that. And another famous Yankee, number 22, famous for a different reason, was Jacoby Ellsbury, who's probably still getting paid to sit there licking his wounds right now. So that's the 22 story. Hey, by the way, somebody made a comment about our podcast that Dante is so prepared and knows his stuff so well, and it comes off like this father-son routine is where Dante is like the father and I am like the kid in this thing. That was a comment that was made, and I was a little offended by it because I do take preparation seriously, and I think you know that, Dante. I do. I do. I take it seriously, but unlike you, who is more of a contemporary preparation style, maybe analytics. All right, I lean into history to learn from, and I look at things that people have done in the past that were successful, and that's how I prepare. So I thought about something that recently happened this week. Domingo Germán pitched a no-hitter this year, and subsequently now is in rehab for alcohol abuse. And it made me think of David Wells, and not a no-hitter, by the way, a perfect game Germán pitched. David Wells once pitched a perfect game, and he claims that he was out drinking the entire night before, was completely drunk and hungover, and he pitched the perfect game. So these guys have prepared that way. So in preparation for tonight, I'm prepared for tonight's show. So Dante, kick it off.
Well, that's definitely an interesting way to get prepared for the show, but I guess if it works, it works.
It works.
We got a couple of very interesting topics to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the Tim Anderson and Jose Ramirez fight. We're going to debate on who we think is the MVP of all of baseball. Got some interesting takes there. But we're going to start off with the running back situation. Dalvin Cook to the Jets, Ezekiel Elliott to the Patriots. What do you think about these two signings?
All right, so this is kind of breaking news. This stuff just happened today. It's exciting that these very good running backs have landed in the American Football Conference Eastern Division, which continues to be stocked. Right? What?
I don't know if I've ever heard anybody call the AFC East the full title and the way that was strange. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Well, it is. It's the American Football Conference, and it's the Eastern Division. Yes, and it's stocked, and it gets more stocked by the minute. Nobody pays attention to the Patriots. They've become an afterthought. But the truth of the matter is, now that they have a legitimate offensive coordinator, or should I say OC and make things shorter for you, since they now have a real offensive coordinator, we know what a brilliant head coach and defensive mind Belichick is. They have a lot of other good pieces. They love the running game. They love the smash mouth type of football. And Zeke's got still plenty left in the tank. That's a big help to them. The Dalvin Cook to the Jets. I understand that it's an insurance policy. If Brees Hall doesn't come back well or quickly or at all from the surgery, it's a surgery that kept Saquon Barkley from being competitive for over a year. So does that happen here? So is it an insurance policy? Is it just a luxury? But to have that another weapon. I'm a Jet fan. I should be happy. I'm not. I'm just not. I wish they took that money that's going to him and somehow sunk it into protection for Rodgers. I don't trust the offensive line. I don't care how good Rodgers is or was. I don't care how many wonderful receivers he has. If he's getting knocked on his ass the way Mike White and a little boy over there, Zach Wilson, got knocked on their ass all last year, then he's not going to be the great Aaron Rodgers. And I don't trust the offensive line. And the other thing is, I'm tired of people overlooking the stuff that goes on off the field. Dalvin Cook's got all sorts of allegations against him for abusing his girlfriend, physically abusing her, and then trying to pay her off $1 million to keep her mouth shut about it. And because the guy runs for 1,000 yards a year, we all overlook it and we're going to take him on. So I'm not a fan of that move as a Jet fan. I'm going to root for him. I hated Alex Rodriguez, but when he was wearing pinstripes, I was rooting for him. So I'll root for Dalvin Cook, right? He's on my team now, but not a fan of the move.
Okay. So with the Zeke signing, I think it's great for the Pats. The Pats are known for their defense, as you mentioned. They always have a solid defense. Their offense is weak. I know they added a couple tight ends 2 years ago, Hunter Henry, and I'm blanking on the other one, but it's really their receiving game is not good. Their wide receivers are atrocious. And then you want to talk about Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi, very below average quarterbacks. That's it. Their one offensive bright spot last year was Ramondre Stevenson, their running back. And his number one problem was getting into the end zone. You get Zeke, who gets into the end zone. That's a perfect match. They complement each other perfectly.
Yep.
So, yes, good job, Pats. Obviously, I'm a Jet fan. Right? I don't like the Pats, but that's a very good signing. As far as the Dalvin signing, I think it is great, and here's why. Obviously, Brees, ACL, you mentioned Saquon. He might not be great his first year back from the injury. They're going to ease him into the year. They're not going to throw him out there and make him the number one guy week one. So now I know Dalvin's got shoulder issues. He's not going to be practicing until first or second week. I think 2 more weeks he's going to be off the field. They just activated Brees today so he could practice. But they're going to ease Brees back into things. Saleh says Brees is looking good, but you never know. He could look good. You look at Denver, Javonte Williams tore his ACL, and he's making a crazy recovery, and he's exceeding expectations. But they're going to ease Brees into this season. They're going to throw Dalvin out as the RB1 to start. Say Brees doesn't get fully healthy till week 4. Now you have these two guys who each are used to taking 80% of the workload. And you minimize it a little bit. Everybody wants to say that Dalvin is washed. He rushed for more yards last year than he ever has in his career. So he is not washed. You put these guys...
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
Now you're lying. That's not fair to lie to all these people. 3 years ago, he had his best season ever. The last 2 years, his numbers came down a little bit.
Look at the rushing.
Not fair to lie. And by the way, you want to look it up, or we're going to move on? Because while you're looking it up, I'm going to say another thing. Yeah. You mentioned what Saleh said about Brees, and Saleh said about that. I don't listen to anything Saleh says. All right, Saleh is the bald Aaron Boone. Everything's wonderful. Everybody's great. Everybody loves me. They all love him. I'm tired of these kind of managers and coaches. I want somebody that's mean and ornery and nobody likes. Okay, that makes winners. I want Belichick. I want somebody whose interviews are grumbling. Like, don't ask me any questions. I don't have any patience for this. I got a job to do. Not like everybody's beautiful and we're all friendly and we're gonna kumbaya in the locker room. Nah.
What do you want Salah to say?
I don't know what I want him to say, but I'm tired. And watching this. What's the HBO thing now that's going on?
Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Watching Hard Knocks. I'm sorry. He looks like an idiot. All right. I wish he wasn't being filmed because I liked him better before I saw this. Okay. He looks like a little kid that somehow snuck onto the sideline. Like he's all happy to be there. That's not a head coach in football. Look at the Giants guy over there, right? Look at him. It's preseason. Somebody ran back a touchdown on a kick, and he ran over to his special teams coordinator and gave him the look of death. Like, you better straighten this crap out, because just the look of death. And it's a preseason game. All right? That's what I want. I want those kind of guys. I'm sick of these pals. I don't want these guys that I'd like to have a beer with. I want guys that I see in a bar and I'm afraid and I don't want to have a beer. And that's not what we have. I don't believe in Salah.
So I looked up the stats. You were right. His most rushing yards was 2020. Last year was the second most. So what I was trying to get at is he's not washed.
I'm very prepared, by the way.
That was good. That was good. He's not washed. Dalvin Cook is not washed by any means. And by week 4, week 5, when Brees is fully healthy, you're going to have these two guys. Your running game is going to be electric. I know the offensive line's a concern, but if Becton is okay, your offensive line really isn't that bad. And we've seen teams get away with it. The Bengals got to the Super Bowl with it. Okay? The Jets have a better defense by the Bengals by a mile. And the Bengals defense really did carry them throughout the playoffs. I think we're going to talk about it next week. But the Jets defense, as good as it is, top 5, you take all these weapons, you have Rodgers, plus these two backs, the offensive line will be okay. You got Becton, you got Max Mitchell, Dwayne Brown will probably be fine, AVT, and yeah.
These are just names.
But they're good names. If Becton is fine, your offensive line is going to be okay. The Jets' offensive line will be fine. You add these two backs, the Jets' offense will be fine. The Jets' offense, Rodgers will win the MVP.
Save that clip. I can't wait. Let me tell you something. From your mouth to God's ears, do I hope you're right, but you're wrong.
How about this?
And you keep.
No. I'll double down. Rodgers MVP, Garrett Wilson Offensive Player of the Year.
Listen, you keep mentioning Becton's name, and it all hinges on Becton. All right, that guy hasn't done a damn thing since we drafted him. All he did was spend one full season at McDonald's and another full season at Jenny Craig. So now he's thin. I'm supposed to be impressed by this, that the guy gained 1,000 pounds. That, honestly, that's like Joe Biden saying the economy has gone up by 50% after it went down 60%. Okay, so that's the same thing. I don't want to hear that, okay? He gained all this weight. He couldn't play. He lost all this weight. Now his knee hurts.
No, he's fine.
No.
Check it. He's fine now.
Let's see.
So, Rodgers, MVP, Garrett Wilson, Offensive Player of the Year. Becton will be fine. The offensive line will be fine. Jets defense, top 5 in the league. Jets probably losing the AFC Championship, but that's okay.
You sound like Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah.
You do.
You know, we both liked Zach Wilson. And we know how that turned out.
And you wonder why I drink.
Yeah. I think I said it on the show before. Way back. I bought every Jets quarterback jersey, and I stopped. I'm not getting Rodgers instead. I got Sauce because you can't jinx a player that was already good, and I'm thinking maybe if we move away from the quarterbacks, we'll be fine.
But Rodgers was already good. That defeats your argument.
Yeah, but quarterbacks coming to New York, you never know. So
okay.
I just stopped that there.
All right, I had enough football. Let's talk some baseball. Yeah. Lay it on me.
So Tim Anderson and Jose Ramirez get into a boxing match at second base. I'm sure we'll play the clip. Jose Ramirez slides into second, doesn't like the tag, kind of comes up, says a few words. Anderson says a few words, and Anderson drops his glove like it's hockey, squares off the ump, realizes he's not getting paid enough to stop this, and then he steps away. And Anderson got a couple of good swings in, and then Jose got one right to Tim Anderson's jaw and knocked him down. Down goes Anderson, down goes Anderson. Beautiful call. And if you know anything about Jose Ramirez, he's a very chill guy.
Yes.
So you know that Tim Anderson was really just getting under his skin or saying stuff, and Jose said that he was just disrespecting the game. And I hate Tim Anderson. I know you want to go here, I'll go there. I really don't care. I have nothing to lose right now. Last year, Tim Anderson called himself the Jackie Robinson of baseball. And Josh Donaldson said something to him, said, hey, all right, Jackie. And that was a whole racial thing. Not too sure that's racial when you call yourself the Jackie Robinson of modern-day baseball, and then somebody calls you Jackie. It's not racist. That's what you said. And Donaldson got, I don't know if it was a league suspension or a team suspension, but it was 2 games. Team suspension. 2 games. So that was stupid. Tim Anderson has this reputation of being a jerk. So I would love to see that. That was great. Yeah. Good job, Jose.
What can I say other than like ditto? I agree 100% with everything you said. Anderson's a punk. You know, the whole situation that happened a year ago with Josh Donaldson. All right. I mean, let's just think about what you just described. All right. This guy goes around calling himself the Jackie Robinson of today's game, and his ex-teammate, who's now the enemy, Donaldson, has been known to be the guy to try to get under your skin and say things at you. Well, the truth of the matter is, if it would be no different than somebody saying to Ohtani, hey, Bambino, because you think you're like Babe Ruth now, so we're going to, right? That's not, there's not, but Anderson leaned into it. He loved that somebody considered it racist, and he started to call it a racist thing. He blew this thing up. And that's the kind of stuff that divides people, divides the white community from the black community. When somebody starts calling something racist, that's not, okay? And Anderson jumped all over that. For me to defend Josh Donaldson, you know what kind of punk, okay, Anderson is. He's a punk. And when that wild lucky punch landed right on his jaw and knocked him right on his butt, I loved every second of it. The only thing I regretted is it wasn't me throwing that punch. It was beautiful. So good for him. Yeah. I loved it. Loved every minute.
I want to double back. You said it takes a lot for us to back Donaldson. I hate Josh Donaldson more than you. More than anybody. But he wasn't wrong in that instance.
He wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
He wasn't wrong. All right. So there's a lot of, I mentioned Ohtani and Bambino. And there's a lot of talk on TV, on the sports talk shows, on the sports radio, on the internet, in every podcast, comparing Ohtani to Babe Ruth and saying Ohtani is the greatest player of all time. And I can't go there at the moment. I just want to talk about who's the greatest player today. Dante, who's the greatest player today?
So there's only one right answer. It's obviously Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is the greatest player. I'm not going to say he's the GOAT because he's not just yet. I think by the end of his career, there's a strong chance that he is. But to call it, 5 years into his career, 6 years? Definitely not. Ohtani is, I was concocting this today at work. Ohtani is if you take Corbin Burns, Yordan Alvarez, and you add speed. That is my holistic Shohei Ohtani. You take Burns' pitching abilities, you take Yordan's hitting abilities, and you take speed of someone like Acuna. Maybe not as dramatic as Acuna, but you get someone with legit speed. That's Shohei Ohtani. You combine those all-stars into one person. That's him. That's the best player in baseball right now, without a doubt. We'll go back on this. Who do you think yours is?
Well, If you asked me the question last year, my answer would be Aaron Judge. He clearly was the best player
Yeah,
in
last year he
baseball.
was.
He had, he was the best player in baseball. All right, and I know Otani privately was throwing a hissy fit that he didn't get the MVP because he believed since he was a good pitcher and a good hitter, he should have gotten it. Which then means he should automatically get the MVP every year since he's the only pitching hitter. So he should just automatically get it. Okay? Nonsense. Nonsense. All right. I don't think he's the best player in baseball this year either. My vote would go to Ronald Acuna. And I'll tell you why, for a number of reasons. First of all, I've lived my whole life hearing about two-way players, not pitching and hitting, but fielding and hitting. All right. I was a big Mickey Mantle fan, who was one in his prime was the best hitter. This is a Triple Crown winner with all the power in the universe. And people were saying, yeah, but Willie Mays is better because he's actually a better fielder. And he's also a great hitter. So fielding had this premium on it, all right? Really a premium. And to me, it's always stuck with me. And I always thought it was important. And one of the reasons I thought Aaron Judge was the best player last year is because not only did he break just about every goddamn hitting record that we could think about, but he was like gold glove caliber fielder. And a leader on a team that he strapped on his back and carried them into the playoffs. Okay, MVP stuff. Well, Otani, okay, who everybody is in love with, and I like Otani, don't get me wrong, I really do. But everybody's in love with Otani. Number one, is not dragging that team into the playoffs. He didn't last year, or the year before, or the year before that, or the year before that. Okay, with the Mike Trout on his team, and they went out and signed big bucks for a third baseman and whatever else, and signing, and they have the third highest payroll, and he didn't drag them into the playoffs. He still hasn't played one playoff game. All right, number one. So he's not an MVP because he's a winner, because he's not a winner. Okay,
Regular
so
season award, though.
Hang on. Defensively, he doesn't play the field at all. He gets 0 points for fielding and defense, which made Willie Mays better than Mickey Mantle and made Joe DiMaggio better than Ted Williams. But we're just taking that off the table. Like fielding doesn't matter because he's pitching instead. Well, you know what? He's pitching every fifth day, okay? And these other guys, like Acuna, are on the field every day. Not every fifth day, every day. They all hit every day, but Acuna's in the field playing star quality defense every day, while the other guy walks up to the plate 4 times a game and goes sits down again. All right? In fact, DHs, the whole concept of DH and Hall of Famers were held against some great DHs.
Don't let Bloomberg hear this.
No, look, it is what it is. Look, and you know I love Ronnie Bloomberg. It's got nothing to do with it. Okay, some of the greatest DHs of all time couldn't get into the Hall of Fame because they were one-dimensional players. So, do I think being a very good pitcher, he's not the best pitcher, but being a very good pitcher and a very, very good hitter together makes you the best player? No, I don't think so. All right, Acuna is the leading player on a team that has become the best team in baseball. Okay? Period. The Braves are the best team in baseball. And he's their number one player. He has 30 points in batting average higher than Otani. 30 points higher. Okay? This is not, they're neck and neck. 30 points higher. Okay? Than Otani. He leads all of baseball in stolen bases. He's got 55 stolen bases. Nobody else even has 50. All right? But because Otani pitches as well, we're just going to give him the award. No. Acuna's the most valuable player in baseball.
Okay, so, first off, you called Shohei one-dimensional. He's everything but one-dimensional. He's the definition of a two-way player. Second off, both leagues get the MVP, so Acuna will win his MVP, and Otani will win his MVP this year. They both get the award.
That's not our debate. Our debate is who's the best.
But they're both getting the MVP award. And if you want to pull up stats, that works too. So, Otani has fewer at-bats than Acuna this year because he pitches in some games and he doesn't hit or whatever the reason is. So on a per-game basis, I just did percentages of his at bats. Otani leads the league in triples with 7. So you want to talk speed? There you go. Acuna has 2. Otani triples over 1% of his at bats. Acuna triples 0.3%. Otani 7.8% of his at bats result in homers. Acuna under 5%. Otani on a significantly worse team, 16% of his at bats result in a ribby. Acuna 13%. So you're telling me the Angels, who are not a very good team, they have Otani and Trout. That's kind of it. Otani's driving in more runs on a worse team. We're the best team in baseball. Ronald Acuna Jr. is not knocking in as many runs. So if you want to talk hitting, Otani is the number 1 hitter in the league. Otani's the number 1 hitter in the league. What's your question?
He's number 1 hitter in the league. You think he's number?
Yes.
So let me ask you. Hang on. On the days that Otani is your designated hitter and Acuna is your right fielder, who would you rather have on your team that day?
Otani.
Well, if that's your answer, then my argument's out the window, okay? Because I would rather have Acuna on those days. On the days that Otani is pitching and Acuna's in right field, who would you rather have? Otani. So I would rather have Otani on that day, all right? I would rather have Acuna on the other day, on the day that Otani is DH, because Acuna's winning baseball in 2 ways. He's fielding and he's hitting and he's doing it all where the other guy gets up 4 times a game. If you agreed with me on that, and you don't, if you agree with me on that, then Acuna's the guy you want 4 days a week, and Otani's the guy you want 1 day a week.
Otani leads the league in homers. And we see it with Judge. When the Yankees struggle, and Judge is the only bright spot, teams pitch around.
Pete Alonso was leading the league in home runs.
Listen.
You want him?
Teams pitch around Judge. Teams can easily do the same thing to Otani, but they can't because he's so good. He bats over 300. He has over 40 homers. He gets triples. He does it all. And he's a top 10 pitcher in the league.
301. He's
10 pitcher in the league.
He's top what? Are you impressed by top 10? You tell me he's the top 1, top 3, top 10. I should be impressed. No, I'm not impressed. I am impressed that a guy could be a very good pitcher and a terrific hitter at the same time. It hasn't happened in a million years. We discussed this last week, where it's been frowned upon for years in the United States. So you don't get the best players don't get to do that anymore. So I get it. But give me Acuna. If they were both on the open market today, I would want Acuna to start my team, not Otani. He's the best player.
But what wins championships?
Not Otani. He can't even get into the playoffs.
So.
Oh, you can't even get into the playoffs with that guy.
But
and
look,
Trout. And the third highest
cannot
in
compare
payroll.
Teams here. Look at the Braves. There's not one flaw in that team.
No, there's not.
That's good.
Not.
That's good management.
There's not.
You can't put that on Otani. Oh, this is not basketball where you need a couple of stars to win a championship.
No, but to be considered the best, you got to do it. And it's why Don Mattingly still isn't in the goddamn Hall of Fame. Because he didn't win a championship.
No, but
well, that's the way it is.
You cannot pin.
How many MVPs have been voted in? How many MVPs get voted in when their team does not do well? Very rarely, right or wrong. Okay, MVP is often tied, almost exclusively tied to making your team succeed. Look, go back in the history. Do you know how many times Ted Williams? You realize Ted Williams batted 400, didn't get the MVP? Another time Ted Williams had triple crown, didn't get the MVP. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, because his team wasn't winning. So DiMaggio was getting it. Think about that. Think about that.
I'm going to say something. It's not even a debate, but a conversation for a time where we have an hour. The baseball writers of America, the voters, that is just a flawed system altogether. But, I mean, I'm not even going to go there right now. That's not the debate that we're having, but you look. I could compare the Judge and Altuve stats, but I'm not going to go there. You could talk about Rookie of the Years and MVPs. Matsui robbed, but again, not what we're talking about here. I just think the baseball voting is completely flawed. A team sport, you cannot put. You can't do that to a player. It takes a lot more than obviously it takes a lot more than Trout and Ohtani to make it to the playoffs. So you can't do that.
A lot of teams get in the playoffs. A lot of teams. You got to no excuse for that team not to get in.
You can't tell me
that guy
is a better player because the team around him is better.
No, I think he's a better player because he's a catalyst.
You take away, no, but here's the thing: you take away Acuna, that team's still in first place.
And that's what happened last year.
Exactly.
To your point.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Good. I'm glad because I'm tired of arguing with you. All right. This is that point of the show we call before and after yesterday and today when Dante talks about something that's on his mind that's relevant and happening today. And I talk about something that's on my mind that happened in times gone by. Sure. Dante, why don't you kick it off?
I could have gone two directions today. So the Angel Hernandez lawsuit was denied. Wasn't even going to talk about that today, but today I'm going to go with Wander Franco. There are rumors, I'm going to say it again, rumors, that he was in a relationship with a girl who is 14. Some sources say she's 19. Most are saying she's 14, and now Wander has entered himself on the restricted list. And that just brings me to the whole point of off-the-field crimes in sports and how they're honestly appearing to be normal nowadays. I'm just going to list a couple of names that came to the top of my head in a 2-minute time span, and it's too many in 2 minutes. Obviously, Wander Franco. We have Felipe Vasquez, who did the same thing a couple of years ago. Trevor Bauer. If you want to call that a crime, you can. Again, I personally don't think he was at fault, but it's a crime. Kareem Hunt is kicking a woman in a hotel room. Ray Rice punched his girlfriend. Then they got married afterwards, decision making, and he dragged her off the elevator. Deshaun Watson was 24 women, and Domingo Herman also recently with the alcohol abuse, throwing stuff in the clubhouse, and just
domestic violence previously.
Yeah. Oh, and we could go on Roldis Chapman, and the list goes on and on and on. And again, those are just a couple of names that I thought of in 2 minutes, and that's not okay. When we hear this stuff, honestly, as a fan of the game, obviously I've never liked Wander Franco, so maybe it's a little bit different for me with this specific instance. But when it happens to a Yankee, I just I think me, along with other sports fans, think, all right, how are we going to replace this and still be a competitive team? With Wander Franco, I never really liked him, so I guess I have a little bit deeper feeling when honestly I shouldn't. It should be equal across the board. But I think of that's disgusting. What a jerk. How is that acceptable on any levels? But too many baseball fans are thinking, oh, we just lost the start of the game for a little bit. Well, that's not how we should be thinking. Yeah, he's a great young player, but off the field stuff is a lot more important than his performance on the field. And you look at Felipe Vasquez, he's never returned. And he wasn't as big as Wander Franco. And that just makes you think, if these allegations are true, and she was 14, is Wander Franco going to play another? Is he going to have another at-bat? Is he done for his career? Because honestly, he should be. Because you want to introduce your kids or your young fans into sports. And I know me growing up, you always look up to these players. Oh, I want to be the next Jeter. Yeah, well, kids, I guarantee you are saying, I want to be the next Wander Franco. And then this comes out. How do you tell your kid, no, you don't want to be like him? You don't want to be anything like Trevor Bauer, Kareem Hunt, Ray Rice, Deshaun Watson, Domingo Herman, Aroldis Chapman. You don't want to be anything like them. They're not role models. Sports was always that breeding ground for role models. And now there's no, the very few that are left. Obviously, Judge comes to mind, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, the good guys in sports. But now the bad guys are taking over, and there's just no place in baseball for this.
That's a disturbing commentary. Tough stuff.
Well, one more thing. This is a lot worse than PEDs. Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. PEDs are something that affects the numbers of the game, okay? Domestic violence and such, that's real-world tragedies. It's horrible, horrible stuff. The disturbing commentary, nothing. Disturbing. Okay, so you opened up with that fight that happened between the White Sox and the Guardians, and this was the 40th. This week was the 40th year anniversary of something that was not a fight, but had probably as much emotion and madness associated with it, and that's what everybody's come to know as the Pine Tar incident. So what happened was you got the Royals playing the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, and trailing 4-3 in the top of the ninth with 2 outs. George Brett, who goes on to become a Hall of Famer, and a Yankee killer, perennial Yankee killer, hits a 2-run homer off of Goose Gossage, Yankee closer, who also went on to be a Hall of Famer. So this is one of the great matchups, and Brett wins and knocks it over the fence. And well, apparently, earlier in the game, Greg Nettles noticed that the pine tar on Brett's bat was higher than the markings on the bat should be, and mentioned it to Billy Martin. Billy Martin, being the incredible calculating field general that he was, when managers meant something in baseball, didn't call anything, waited for a moment when it might come in handy. And when that ball went over the fence, he walked out there and told the umpire he believes that bat was illegal. And the umpire takes a look at the bat, and they measure it, and sure enough, the pine tar was a little over the point where it's allowed to be. And he calls the home run null and void, and Brett out. Brett loses his mind, explodes out of the dugout like a madman, had to be held back in one of the wildest scenes I've ever seen in baseball. It was monumentally fantastic. Well, that would have been the 3rd out, and the game ends, and the Yankees win instead of the Royals winning. It's that quick. And the Royals protested the game, and it went before the American League president, Lee MacPhail. Now, Lee MacPhail had been the president, general manager of the Yankees for quite some time, and left the team, and the team became great after he left, actually. So he's now the American League president. I believe he always had a rub against the Yankees. And he says that in as much as the rule was broken, this call was against the spirit of the rule. And the rule is not meant to do this. So he deems the home run as counting as a home run. And the game should be picked up from that point. So the Royals and Yankees go back. Now the Royals are ahead 25 days later. The Royals and Yankees go back to the field now with 2 outs. The Royals are up by a run, and they win the game at the 9th inning. Crazy ruling. I've never seen a protested game overturned before, especially in a situation like that. Wildness. What a lot of people don't know, and we all talk about the Pine Tar game because Brett lost his mind and because it was a winning home run. But actually, 8 years earlier, 1975, it happened against the Yankees. First inning against the Twins, Thurman Munson, RBI machine, gets a hit to knock a run in. And no sooner does the run come in, and the Twins call out that the pine tar is too high on the bat. Umpire measures it and calls Munson out. And Munson went ballistic, but not nearly as ballistic as Brett did, so never got the same fanfare. But and maybe that's what kept Greg Nettles on his toes and being alert to such things, because it happened to the Yankees, 8 years earlier, back in '75. But so there were actually 2 famous pine tar games the one that we all know, and one that happened with Munson against the Twins previously. I think that's it,
so
Dante.
guys,
Tie it
thank
up.
you again for coming out and listening to episode 22 of 10th Inning Screwballs. You know where to get us. Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. That chat page is booming. Thank you for everybody who's joining. Hey, and that TikTok, the numbers are growing there. So thank you for all of you guys over there. Please share this video with your friends, neighbors, anybody that likes sports, and leave a comment.
Yeah.
Let us know how you think we did. Let us know if you think that Otani's the best player, if Acuna's the best player, whatever you want to debate about. Take it to Facebook. We got that chat page for a reason. Yeah.
Take it to that chat page. Yeah. Make a comment. Make a comment on that chat page. Start your own question there. Respond to ours. Go for it. That's what it's there for. It's meant to be an interactive page, and as Dante said, it's picking up steam. We've been getting hundreds of followers at a clip, so that's a really great thing, and it's because you guys are part of it.
Yeah.
And we're only
We
as good
want
as
to
you guys
communicate
are.
with you
So
guys.
keep
We
it
want to
going.
debate with you guys. We want to share some stories, laughs, whatever it is. So go over there, leave a comment, and let's keep talking. We'll see you guys next week.
Ciao.